Global warming is a major threat towards the environment. Today, we, Harshit Saravanan, Nikhil Jayanti, Rudra Ramachan, and Jace Thompson will go over the initiatives that are being taken to slow and even reverse the effects of global warming. Reversing the effects of global warming will be no easy task, but through these initiatives, it just might be possible. The government is trying to stop global warming through green amendments. Green amendments establish a constitutional mandate recognizing a healthy environment as an inherent right of all citizens. These amendments have already passed in Pennsylvania, New York, and Montana, and have been used in court cases related to mining, sewage, water quality, and etc. These amendments are currently trying to pass in other states as well. The Inflation Reduction Act will use $400 billion to lower the cost of clean energy and subsidize clean energy. The American Innovation and Manufacturing Act directs the EPA to lower the use of HFCs, ozone-depleting substances. The EPA has also set standards for the quantity of greenhouse gas emissions in vehicles, which is a major source in the problem. Joe Biden has taken action against global warming by signing executive actions that will protect communities from extreme heat and dangerous climate impacts, lower cooling costs for communities suffering from extreme heat, expand offshore wind opportunities and jobs, and provide funding for the wind industry.
President Biden signed Executive Order 14057, catalyzing clean energy industries and jobs through federal sustainability. The federal government increases efforts in order to achieve a carbon pollution-free electricity sector by 2035 and net zero emissions economy-wide by no later than 2050. In the court case West Virginia versus EPA, the Supreme Court ruled that EPA can regulate emissions at plants by emissions reductions technologies, but won't have any power to limit emissions at power plants through generation shifting, a process where creating electricity from fossil fuels is reduced and other sources that emit less carbon dioxide are used more. The public's opinion is divided into two parts. Nearly 50% of American adults say that global warming occurs due to human activity, while others say it is from natural causes. Approximately 40% of Americans expect harmful effects from global warming on wildlife and weather patterns. At the same time, many are optimistic that both policy and individual efforts to address climate change can have an impact. Denmark is having the most success in handling climate change. The European country has designated 25% of its development aid to climate-related projects, including several climate and clean air projects. Since 2005, Denmark has accomplished a fascinating feat by reducing its net emissions by 23%.
Australia has failed to regulate climate change. They have been deemed highly insufficient and have failed to submit more ambitious pledges for 2030. They are ranked 55th out of 63 countries evaluated by the Climate Change Performance Index, and their climate policies, energy use, and renewable energy scores are also very low. Citizens Climate Lobby is a nonpartisan grassroots organization which advocates for effective climate legislation. It is composed of local volunteer groups who lobby their elected representatives and work through outreach and local media. They were initially located throughout Canada and the United States, though they have spread to over a dozen other countries. The Americans for Prosperity Foundation is an organization that has repeatedly opposed climate change regulation. They first began to oppose climate change legislation with a hot air tour, where they went to over 40 cities and held events in those cities. They also created the No Climate Tax campaign, which says that any politician who signs the campaign will not sign a climate tax bill unless there is an equivalent amount of tax cuts. Oklahoma has signed an act that says the state must stop doing business with firms that discriminate against fossil fuel companies. This is not surprising because an overwhelming majority of people who live in Oklahoma have a favorable impression of the fossil fuel industry, which may be because 1/5 of the jobs are connected to the industry and national and state politicians gain significant financial backing from those companies.
California is dealing with global warming by creating an 85% reduction in greenhouse gases, zero net carbon pollution by 2045 as part of the California Climate Commitment. They also have a target of 90% clean energy by 2035 and 95% by 2040. The California Climate Commitment is expected to create 4 million jobs, which will also be good for the economy. The American Clean Energy and Security Act was proposed by Obama. The bill proposed a cap-and-trade system, which means the government would set a cap on the total amount of greenhouse gases that could be emitted nationally. Companies then can trade permits to emit more greenhouse gases. According to NASA, over the last 20 years, 19 have been their warmest ever recorded. This will continue to happen. By 2050, air pollution and ground level ozone is projected to become the top cause of environmentally related deaths worldwide. The study showed that with no change in emissions by 2050, there will be 1,126,000 deaths each year from ozone. In our presentation, we have proved that global warming is going to be a major problem in the future, and it already is now. Some places are combating global warming by creating major laws and goals for the future. However, most countries aren't doing anything. These are our sources. Thank you for watching.